Welcome back to Curious Caravan. Today we're heading down to the Sunshine State, but not for the beaches or theme parks. We're diving right into Florida's weird and wonderful side. And Jason has a list for us today. So if you're into the strange and unusual, he will always bring it. Jason, do you want to just kick us off? I'm curious to see what you've got.
What do you mean I always bring the strange and unusual? I mean, what are you trying to say about me? No, yeah, I am pretty weird. Um,
Notoriously weird in the
well,
best way.
I don't know, Lizette. Have you always seen in the news, it's like Florida man does this, Florida man does that. We pretty much the state's weird. Let's get
They
right down to
actually
it.
have a thing where you Google your birthday and type in Florida man and you get the strangest stories. So, excuse me
Really?
for thinking that state was a little crazy.
Oh, really? Well, let's
Yes.
try it. Let's see what Florida man, and then let's put in my birthday. Well,
What's the first news title? Because I can give you mine.
Florida man arrested for trying to catch them all. Oh, he stole a bunch of Pokemon cards. Interesting.
So, Florida man stole the Pokemon cards. Oh my
Yep,
goodness.
that sounds Florida to me.
Mine is Florida man charged with robbery after trying to withdraw a penny from the bank.
One
So,
penny.
one penny. That's all it took for this man to rob the bank.
Well, those aren't as weird as I was hoping, but that's okay because I
No.
have a lot of weird things to talk about.
Oh,
So, we love talking about retro
yes, we
attractions. We
do.
love talking about the weird attractions, the craziness and everything. Well, growing up here, my summer vacations, we would always do like a 2 to 3 day road trip from my hometown in Sarasota, and we would go up to Orlando or we'd go up to Kissimmee. And there's a lot of really great retro stops along the way. And there were three that we would always go to. And it's funny, I call them retro now. And I guess maybe because, I was doing this in like the 90s, it now feels like, oh, that's so retro. But these places have been open longer than that. So I would like to say I'm not that old.
Do they
But
feel retro today, though? I mean,
yes,
okay,
very.
fair enough.
So one of the places we would rotate in, I would guess every couple summers, is
Hmm.
I don't know, like every state seems to have their own dinosaur world.
Oh,
Uh,
yes. Even Dallas, even Texas.
Yes,
Yes.
we've got the dinosaur world, and ours is located in Plant City, which is between Tampa and Orlando. It's kind of in that area.
Okay.
But you would always know you were coming upon Dinosaur World because there were these
Signs.
dinosaurs. There were the signs, but on the side of the road, they'd constructed these massive metal 3D like T-Rexes and Brontosauruses. I mean, they weren't that great. I would call it like maybe Jurassic Park from Timu, but they were set up in that way. And then they were stuffed with recyclables like cans and paper and everything like that. But they
School
were something,
project, maybe.
yeah, a school project, paper mache. But it was something that you would be very eye-catching on the side of the road.
Hmm.
So you always knew it was coming. And it was really cool. Like it wasn't like a huge attraction, but you could walk among like there were like hundreds of life-size dinosaurs and they'd set them up like they were in the natural habitat, in the trees or by a lake or by a stream. And what was really cool is there was like this boardwalk as well that kind of went through these like really super old, like 100-year-old oak trees,
Oh, I
which
imagine
was
that
really
it was
neat.
actually beautiful, though.
Oh, it is. I mean, Florida, we've naturally being on the Sun Coast, we've got beautiful, beautiful areas, but
Yeah.
it was super cool. But the one thing I loved doing is they had this gift shop, which would have all these really cool dinosaur toys and everything. And my parents were always like, you don't need any more toys. So I rarely ever got one. But they had, and it was only like dollar 50, I think, but they had one of those machines where it would make wax figurines out of dinosaurs. And it's like one of these really cool machines where it's like there's a mold and then you pick
Uh-huh.
which dinosaur you want and it shoots hot wax into it and it forms into a dinosaur and then it pops out like on the bottom. They're really like old school types of machines. But I always loved getting a wax dinosaur to take
This
home.
is gonna age me, I will say, because I don't think I've ever heard of such an attraction. Like, I don't think I've ever seen one in person. I see those like rotating pennies. I see where you crush it and it like is this penny. And now I bet it's $1 or something to do. But
We
I'm
would have
imagining it's candle.
no, it's not a candle.
Oh,
No, they're
okay.
wax, they're like wax figures. It's like a
Oh,
wax mold vending machine.
Jason made a trip just for the wax vendor.
I love the wax vendor. I loved it, but they were like hollow too. So because it would be the wax forming in the mold and then it would press together each side. But they would have like a T-Rex or a Triceratops, or you could get like I think they had a Brontosaurus was another one, but they were really cool. I always loved getting one. It
I'm
was
not
like to
gonna
take home from the trip.
I'm not gonna lie to you. Imagine this. They had that same concept. This is right before lunch, so bear with me. But in chocolate.
Oh,
Wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't that be
I
so nice?
chocolate dinosaur. I think though, if you were spraying hot chocolate into a mold
Uh-huh.
and then you would try to quickly get it cold to
Uh-huh.
then turn into something and then pop out of the bottom, I feel like you'd
Mm,
grab it and then it would be a melted mess.
true.
But it's a cool concept. But I love the wax. It's aging me because it's such a 1980s, 70s thing. But I loved going to Dinosaur World.
What was your
That
favorite part?
I think it was just seeing the dinosaurs. I mean, if you were to look at them now, you'd be like, oh, well, I mean, obviously these aren't like, they're more like school project versions of dinosaurs, but
Yeah.
I think that adds to the charm and appeal. It's just, I think, a really cool slice of retro America. I mean, it's something that I love to do growing up, and I highly recommend it. So if you're ever in Florida and you're near Plant City, Dinosaur World, look for the giant T-Rex filled with garbage along the
Along
interstate.
the road, we did have something like that in Dallas. Or right outside, and you can walk into the footprints. I don't know if that's the same at Dinosaur World, Florida.
I don't remember walking into the footprints, but I'm sure there are
Oh,
footprints.
that's fair. No, understandable. I would go
But
visit.
yeah, I mean, it's really, really fun. It's really, really fun. And kind of in vain with that, one of the other places
Ooh.
that we would go to, which did not have fake dinosaurs, but had descendants of dinosaurs, is in Orlando. There is Gatorland.
Oh God.
And
Are there loose gators everywhere?
it is all things alligators. It has been around since 1949. It's a 110-acre wildlife sanctuary. It's really cool because one thing that stands out to me that when I would always go is it's so 80s. It's so 80s. But the entrance is this massive stone alligator jaws that are
You
wide
can walk
open
through.
that you walk through. It's like made of stone or whatever, but it's this massive like alligator face entrance. And it's so funny the things you remember, but I always remembered it because the paint was super faded from it being older. I'm sure they've repainted it now, or maybe they haven't, but I always remembered that. And they also had the wax mold machines when you first went inside.
All
And
of these
there's where
destinations.
wax mold machine. If it's got a wax mold machine, I shall come. Um, but that one,
I'm nervous to ask. Can I ask it anyways? Were there these giant gators, just like you could pet them, free roam?
no, you can't pet
Oh,
them.
okay. Okay, thank
No, they
God.
had them like they would have like trainers come in and they would do the thing where like they feed the alligator chicken,
Oh, God.
and they would like do little things with them and talk about them. And they also had like alligator shows where they would jump up into the air out of the water to grab food that was hanging over the lake. But
Yeah.
they have a really, really cool Stompin' Gator off-road adventure that takes you on like a journey in a truck or whatever that goes through the whole wildlife preserve. And they've got like a singing tour guide as you go through the swamps,
Oh
which
my
is
God.
entertaining to say the least. They also, I know that you would love doing this thing as you seem so excited about alligators, Lizette,
I'm
is
so
there
excited.
is the Gator Gauntlet, which is a zip line that goes over the alligator breeding marsh.
I just had heart palpitations. I'm not gonna lie to you. So
Well, I
scary.
never did that as a kid. I was more of like, I liked the shows and everything like that. I don't think even now as an adult, you would get me on a zip line going over an alligator, anything, because I've seen enough horror movies to know how that
Same.
results. You can also do a experience. They offer this Gator Night Shine experience.
What is
Um,
that?
well, you get to explore the wetlands at night with only a flashlight
No,
with
thank
a
you.
guide. Yeah, not for
Mm,
me either. Not for me
yeah.
either. No, I'm
Okay.
good. I'm good with that. But for me, it's just a slice of my childhood. It's something that I remember distinctly. And it's funny because it's the things that you hold on to. It's not the alligators that I hold on to. It's that big, massive stone faded alligator jaws at the entrance
No.
that I remember going through. So that to me is something that I was, and we would go there. I mean, we went there, I would say, oh my gosh, when I was a kid, like from 7 to like 12 years old, we probably went like 10 or 12 times. It was something we always did because it was always on the way to another destination. So if we were
Oh.
going to Adventure Island for the weekend, or if we were going to Disney, we would always stop. It was kind of like, because you could go spend a couple hours, not even, and then, go on your way. But it was a fun pit stop. It's a really fun pit stop. So Gatorland,
Wait,
definitely.
Jason, I just looked up as you were saying this because I needed to see how fast a gator can go.
Mhm.
Just curious. But they have a sweet little gator called Jolene
Oh,
who's missing
yes.
her top jaw.
Yes, Jolene. She's the new
Oh,
resident. She's the new resident there.
she looks
Sweet
so
Jolene.
sweet. And I would never usually say that about a gator, but this gal looks so incredibly tender. I would just give her a little boop on her little nostril that she barely has, but still.
Oh, Lizette's coming around to the alligators. They just have to be missing a jaw.
Yeah. Oh, oh, that sounds very tragic.
Yeah.
Uh,
Tragic, tragic indeed. So I would say another weirdly retro place that's on a it's a bigger scale is there's Weeki Wachee Springs State Park.
oh, I've
Now,
loosely heard of this place, but I'm curious to hear your
okay,
take.
it's it's weird. The only thing I can say is about it is it's home of the mermaids. It's home of the Weeki Wachee Springs mermaids. That's what they're known for because they have their mermaid show that they've been doing since the 1940s.
They said
And
what's fixed will stay fixed.
yeah, what's don't, they ain't broke, don't fix it.
Exactly.
That's what Lizette was trying to say. If it's fixed, it stays fixed. Lizette trying to give off a phrase.
I am an
Wrong.
80-year-old woman at heart. Sometimes I forget. Okay.
Oh my gosh. If it's, I'm going to start using that from now. If it's fixed,
Don't.
it stays fixed. I love it. I love it. Way to go.
Thank you.
So the big attraction there is they have the mermaid show and it's in this
Hmm.
this underground theater that even to this day, it's like the same, ooh, it smells like old water and it's like dark and damp and you go under there and instead of a
Really
stage,
selling me on this one,
no, no, no.
Jason.
It adds to the ambience. Listen, folks, we are not disparaging Weeki Wachee. You need to go. It's really cool. But what I'm saying is that adds to the ambiance of everything, is like you're under the spring because it's literally the theater is built under the spring. And then when the curtain goes up, it's literally windows, like aquarium windows that showcase
Oh.
the spring arena. And then these mermaids perform underwater. And they've got like these long tubes that they breathe out of and they do choreographed dances. And it's funny because they sing and they swim and they're still like singing along to a cassette tape from the early 90s that's scratchy. They normally do the Little Mermaid,
As they should. It's
a
on
condensed version of
brand.
Little Mermaid, totally on brand. I got the off-brand year because when we went, they were testing a new show called
Uh-huh.
The Little Mermaid Meets Pocahontas.
How does that even make
Well,
sense?
Pocahontas, she lived on the Weeki Wachee Spring. It's really interesting that somehow she was relocated from Virginia
You
to the,
know.
Weeki Wachee in Florida. And she was friends with the Little Mermaid. And John Smith would love to come and visit and swim down there. I mean, listen, it was quite an interesting production. Don't know if it would fly in 2025, that's for sure, if you know what I mean. But
Yeah.
it was an interesting experiment that we got that year. But it's worth going for the Mermaid Show simply for the nostalgia factor. It is so quirky and charmingly retro that it's worth going to see. And it also has, I mean, it's a really cool park. They've got kayaking and paddleboarding, and you can take a riverboat cruise because, the Weeki Wachee Springs is like crystal clear. So you can
Oh,
see
yeah.
everything to the bottom. And they also have like a small water park called Buccaneer Bay, and it's got like four really cool water slides as
Oh.
well.
Yeah, this sounds like a dream. You get dinner, show, and swimming in crystal blue waters. I actually would love that.
I'm telling you, it is definitely the place to go. But if I were to say, if I were to give my top three favorite retro places to go that I did as a kid, I would definitely
Hmm.
say it was Dinosaur World, Weeki Wachee Springs, and Gatorland. They're
I
they're
know.
definitely up there.
Jason, I'm gonna task you. Which one's number one? You have to rank it. You got to give me a
I
number
I
one.
I would honestly, I would go with Gatorland because
Really?
I'm telling you, those faded paint alligator jaws make an impression, as
They
well as
really do.
my wax wildlife molds.
If Weeki
So
Wachee had a wildlife mold, I imagine
I
it
bet
would
they
be a
do. I
huge
bet they
hit.
do somewhere. I
Oh.
bet they do.
Jolene convinced me. I'm in.
It's all about, Jolene. All right. Well, enough about me, Lizette. I think I have gone down memory lane long enough. So that's a wrap on today's episode of Curious Caravan. Don't forget to subscribe. And wherever you listen to podcasts, we've got plenty of more oddball adventures coming your way.
Until next time, keep wandering off the beaten path.
Stay weird. Bye, y'all.
Bye.